How did you even hear about this movie? For actually, for
Sure.
starters.
Sure. So, oh, cool. You've got all the cool things, Lauren.
Yeah.
So I just had moved to Los Angeles and I'd maybe been there 5 months. And my friend Julie Plec, Plec, she was a year ahead of me at Northwestern University. She was Wes Craven's assistant at the time. And she reached out randomly. And at that point, she goes, "How tall are you?" And I said, "I'm 5'7". And she said, "That's perfect." She said, "Wes Craven is screen testing 5 actresses for the lead role of Sydney, one of them being Neve Campbell, the other being Brittany Murphy, Alicia Witt, AJ Langer, who was Claire Danes' best friend in My So-Called Life, and Megan Ward, who played Bailey's first girlfriend in Party of Five, and she was in
Encino Man.
Was she in Encino? And was she in Joe's Apartment with Jerry O'Connell?
I don't know. I remember she was in PCU. I definitely know that name. I don't know her whole career, but
okay.
So I can't answer that at the moment. But yeah.
I think she was, but yes. So the average height of the 5 actresses was 5'7". So Julie said, "We'll pay you $75, and would I be the female stand-in for Sydney for that screen test day, so that if Wes wanted to move the camera around and the lighting, he'd be using me and have the right height for the 5 girls coming in." And so that may have, I mean, it's so hard because it was so long ago, but that may have been maybe February 1996. And so I went in and they were in a big warehouse space, I think somewhere in the Valley. And that day it was Wes Craven, his producing partner, Marianne Madalena, Kathy Conrad, one of the other producers, and Lisa Beach, the amazing casting director. So the first half of the day, I just stood, of course, I stood behind Wes Craven, not like breathing on his neck, but a few feet behind, but he had a good view of his monitor. And then of the 2 scenes that were just little makeshift sets. The first scene was the scene where Skeet Ulrich crawls in through Nev's bedroom window and they have the little G-rated on top of the nightgown action. And then the second scene, so they had a double bed, or no, a twin bed, since I think that's what Neve was sleeping on. But anyways, then the second scene was when the killer calls Neve on the phone the first time. So I think they had a little couch or whatever. So the first girl who auditioned was Megan Ward, and they were in and out fast, each actress. And I think Wes had them do both scenes like twice through, and yeah, really fast. And halfway through the day, Wes turns around to me and he asks me, "Do you know the lines to the 2 scenes?" And I said, "Yes." And at that point, he said, "Well, here's the little script." He said, "Just go over them." He went to check on one of the actresses. I like to say actors, but just so people can follow.
Yeah.
Story. So he went to go check on one of the actresses, and then he had a stand-in for Skeet. And I want to say, you can double check me, Lauren, on this, but I want to say the guy stand-in that day for Skeet is the guy who ended up playing Stephen Orth. Oh, Lord, I don't know where the frog in my throat's come from. Anyways, I think the stand-in that day is the guy who was cast as Stephen Orth, poor Drew Barrymore's boyfriend at the very beginning.
Oh.
Gutted by the swimming pool, I think.
Okay.
So we immediately, Wes came back in and we first did the bedroom scene and then the killer phone call to Neve. And when we finished, and I remember when he asked me, since I'm an actor myself, as each girl went that day, and we were about halfway through the 5 actresses, I remember thinking, oh, if I were auditioning for Sydney, what would be my little stamp on it? And so that was fun. That little part of me was there. And so we did both scenes, and Wes beelined over to me and he put his hand out and he goes, "That was excellent." And he went again to check on the actors. So he left the big warehouse space, and he goes, have a read for one of the bathroom girls. And at that point, Lisa Beach came running over, and she said, once we finish casting the main characters, we'll start bringing in actors for the smaller roles. And it was interesting. Once Wes put his stamp of approval, then it was suddenly like I was visible in the room. Not that I was looking to be noticed, but it was just interesting kind of how the mini version of the floodgates open. And then the rest of the day, he was doing interesting camera work and angles and lighting. So that's why he had me step in for that. And then initially, I think they called a few weeks later, I read for the blonde cheerleader, which of course it was the worst audition I'd ever given. And Leonora Shelfo, who ultimately was cast as the blonde cheerleader, everyone knows is so perfect. When I went in the audition, usually it's just you and the casting director. So I was surprised when I went in. Wes was in there, Marianne Madalena, of course, Lisa Beach. And so I didn't have a cheerleading outfit, but I wore a little mini skirt and a little baby doll shirt that said Girls Rule. So when I went to say hi to Wes, just shake Wes's hand, even though we knew each other, he started like bowing to me. And then at first I was like, what have I done to deserve this? And then I remembered the Girls Roll t-shirt. But so that was the audition day. And then a few weeks later, they literally called on a Wednesday. And well, I'll just say really quickly, I'm sure if I remember correctly, but I think initially I was not cast in the bathroom scene. I don't know if you remember at the party scene at the end, there are two girls, a blonde girl and a girl with like black curly hair. And they have a couple lines to Courtney Cox where they're fangirling out. And I think that's where they were going to put me. Then they called on a Wednesday and they said, Wes has moved up the shooting of the bathroom scene. Would I play the girl in bathroom? And I was like, Lem, I got to think about it. No, immediately I said, yes. And so they had me on the plane the very next day, Thursday, and we were on the set on that Friday. So it was super fast. And Leonora had her hotel room than mine. And so we rehearsed that night. Or we rehearsed that Thursday night just in her bathroom. And then, we were on the set on Friday. So it was really fast.
That's awesome. This is kind of curious between your mindset and basically everybody you encountered there. Were you just looking at it like it's work? Or were you looking at it like this is Wes Craven? He's a big deal, but it's also been a lot of years since Wes kind of really put something hard out there. So were you just kind of throwing caution to the wind, get in there? Or were you like, please, I know this is going to work. Well,
I was throwing caution to the wind. I was so excited to get to work with Wes Craven. At that point, to me, he was like the premier, what I knew from the horror film community, like the premier horror film director.